We played through every WWE 2K career mode ever made to find the worst storylines for each game. So this will be going from WWE 2K15 until WWE 2K24 due to WWE 2K14 not having a career mode within the game. Let's jump right into WWE 2K15's My Career mode to find the worst storyline. WWE 2K15 My Career marked the beginning of the career mode we know today, reintroducing a feature that had been absent since WWE 12. Fans eagerly anticipated its return, but the mode ultimately fell short, lacking compelling storylines and abruptly ending once the WWE title was won. Despite the potential influx of new characters over the past 3 years, the mode failed to capitalize on those opportunities. Take The Shield for instance. They had the potential for an epic storyline, but WWE 2K15 delivered one of the most disappointing stories. The storyline had so much potential but ended up being boring, lazy instead of exciting, and detailed like past WWE games career mode stories had been. In the career mode story, your character is just repeatedly beaten up by the Shield, leading to a match with Roman Reigns at a pay-per-view event. There are no intriguing twists, such as an attempt to join the Shield or forming an alliance against them. Instead, you are just subject to senseless beatings with no clear motive, culminating in a lackluster match after a brief 3-week rivalry. This was a massive letdown, especially since it was the first and only opportunity for a Shield storyline in a WWE game. A major wasted opportunity.
What a vicious surprise attack. I don't think anyone saw this coming.
The Shield again distributing their own brand of justice. Who knows why they attacked him?
Moving on to WWE 2K16 My Career, there's a noticeable improvement in the overall career mode. While it's far from perfect, it certainly shows progress. In WWE 2K16, you'll occasionally be part of special rivalries, which means you'll experience actual storylines with cutscenes. One of the first storylines you're likely to encounter features Seth Rollins and Ryback. In this storyline, Ryback repeatedly chases Seth Rollins around the ring during your matches, causing your character to get distracted, and of course your opponent will take advantage of the chaos to score an easy win over you. The match is completely unwinnable due to this, so thanks Ryback for making us lose to Fandango. I won't forget what you did.
Uh-oh, hey, look in the ring. He's going for the easy win. What a crazy turn of events just now.
This story continues until a tag team match at a pay-per-view where you and Seth Rollins team up against Ryback and Dolph Ziggler. Winning this match triggers a cutscene where you can choose to either help Seth Rollins give Ryback an extra beating after the match is over, or you can abandon him to face Ryback's attack alone. Given Ryback's constant interference and making us lose to Fandango, he deserves the extra beating, so just go right ahead, Seth.
What a vicious attack. I think Ryback got the message.
See what happens when you mess with the authority? Ryback learned the hard way. The authority is stronger than ever.
Despite getting some revenge on Ryback, this storyline still falls a bit flat overall. There's no real explanation for Ryback chasing Rollins other than Ryback is mad and Seth is scared, and on top of that, the entire story seems to just make your character look foolish by losing every week because they're distracted by Ryback. While it's not some really terrible storyline, it pales in comparison to some of the stronger stories in the mode, like Rock and Roman teaming up, Sting's return, and the road to WrestleMania. It's definitely the weakest when you put it against all the other stories within the career mode. WWE 2K16's worst story wasn't all that engaging, and sure, you got beat up a lot, but at least it had some structure. This one, however, the next worst storyline, takes the cake for being absolutely terrible and broken. WWE 2K17's My Career begins with an enormous grind where you play through constant, meaningless matches with no story to meet the criteria needed to get a chance at becoming a Paul Heyman guy. After finally achieving this, you're presented with a choice following Heyman's speech about you possibly being the next Paul Heyman guy, but then the nightmare truly begins. There's a notorious glitch where the game crashes right after you make the choice to either align with Paul Heyman or reject his offer. Even if you manage to get past the crash, the decision to become a Paul Heyman guy or not ends up being almost meaningless. Despite Heyman's involvement, nothing significant happens after you make your choice. The supposed alignment with such a prominent character feels hollow and unfulfilled, rendering the entire grind utterly pointless. This not only breaks the immersion but also leaves players feeling frustrated and cheated. In summary, the storyline fails on multiple levels. It starts with a grueling and tedious grind, continues with a game-breaking glitch, and ends with an empty promise, making the entire experience feel like a colossal waste of time. It's a prime example of how a promising concept can turn into a disastrous execution. Absolutely awful. Before The Rock took over the WrestleMania 40 main event, he made his presence felt in the WWE 2K18 My Career mode. Yes, even Virtual Rocky couldn't resist sneaking back into the WrestleMania spotlight. The storyline begins with The Rock seemingly as an ally to your up-and-coming character. He gives you pep talks, boosts your confidence, and assures you that with hard work, you'll achieve greatness. Fast forward to the Royal Rumble, and if you choose to defy Triple H and become a fan favorite rather than a company man, you'll be inserted at number 1. This can be extremely challenging due to the revamped Rumble match system in 2K18. You could literally get clotheslined over the top ropes just by standing too close to them, making the task frustratingly difficult. After battling your way through the Rumble, your efforts are rendered pointless when The Rock reappears as entrant number 31 in a supposed 30-man Rumble, somehow winning the match. Despite the bizarre twist, The Rock continues to act as if he's on your side. You might think he's setting up for a low-key heel turn, but no, he remains the good guy in this very confusing storyline. When you finally defend your title against The Rock before WrestleMania, he claims that the match and the screwjob at the Rumble were to test if you were good enough, insisting he always believed in you. This revelation is unsatisfying, especially since your responses are mostly limited to variations of, "Oh, thanks Rocky for the help." It feels like a storyline straight out of the peak Vince era, complete with its baffling logic and forced heroism of a guy who has screwed us over. Overall, this storyline epitomizes missed opportunities and confusing character arcs. It's a prime example of what could have gone wrong with the WrestleMania 40 storyline with Cody and Roman, and stands out as a possibly the worst one we will feature in this video. The entire experience, from the frustrating Royal Rumble mechanics to the anticlimactic and nonsensical ending, leaves much to be desired. Thankfully, things improve significantly with WWE 2K19. The addition of voiceovers and a clear overarching narrative featuring Triple H as the main antagonist adds depth to the experience. Alongside the main storyline, there are various non-Triple H storylines interwoven into the journey towards the WrestleMania finale, with Triple H making occasional appearances. This installment boasts a more structured and cohesive narrative, making it a smooth, captivating story that players eagerly look forward to. The engaging storylines and clear direction are a notable improvement over WWE 2K18. With 2K19's My Career, it's difficult to pinpoint a worse storyline because none truly stand out as bad, but if we had to choose, the US title feud between your character Buzz and Bobby Roode for the US title would probably be the weakest. This storyline falls short mainly because of its short length and simplicity. After winning a contender battle royale, Bobby Roode makes a brief appearance to just clap. The following week features a promo battle, and before you know it, the pay-per-view match screen appears. It's a surprisingly quick progression, leaving you thinking, wow, that was fast. Despite it being brief, this storyline isn't bad per se, it just lacks the depth and quality found in many of the other storylines. The fact that we have a nitpick to find a worse storyline speaks volumes about the overall quality of 2K19's My Career mode. This is why WWE 2K19's My Career is regarded as one of the best of all time. It's a testament to how good a career or story mode can be when even the least compelling storyline is still quite enjoyable. Moving on to WWE 2K20's My Career mode, this story features the main villain, Brooklyn Von Braun, who has been a constant thorn in the sides of Red and Trey from their school days to their wrestling careers. Brooklyn has always been the one consistent annoyance for these two. Later in the story, Brooklyn becomes the SmackDown GM, and as you might imagine, she makes Red and Trey's careers a living hell by doing everything in her power to ensure they lose or get screwed over. One notable storyline sees Red and Trey enter the Mixed Match Challenge, a mixed tag tournament. Instead of teaming up, both Red and Trey choose different partners. Trey teams up with Ronda Rousey, but when Ronda gets injured during the match, she can no longer compete. Brooklyn insists on being Trey's replacement partner. As Trey, you eventually win the Mixed Match Challenge with Brooklyn, but you start to trust her despite hating her throughout the story. Predictably, Brooklyn betrays Trey to help him lose his title. The betrayal is so obvious that it's frustrating to play through because you can't do anything to prevent it. To make matters worse, Trey is written as a complete tool who genuinely believes Brooklyn is on his side. Remember, this mode is called My Career. Like, we love a good betrayal, but this was just awful and telegraphed so badly. This storyline felt like another way to portray Trey as the goofy, gullible comedy character which has already become tiresome long before this point. I know you don't want to hear it over and over again about WWE 2K20, but we just can't help but beat the dead horse.
No! This is awful!
Was this some kind of setup all along?
It had to be. Hindsight's 2020, but Brooklyn Von Braun's change of heart was way too good to be true.
In WWE 2K22's My Rise, one of the Raw brand storylines involves your character potentially joining Seth Rollins and his disciples. It's clear from the start that Seth will eventually betray you. WWE 2K22 prepares us for this betrayal, and the storyline sees you successfully fighting off Seth's minions, making for a decent plot overall. However, the ending is a major letdown. After constantly beating up Seth's minions and foiling their plans, you'll face Seth at WrestleMania. The end comes when Seth's group betrays him, allowing you to win the WWE title and take over the group. Kinda doesn't make much sense given that we've been beating them up so much for the past few weeks, but whatever, it's wrestling, we can look past it. What we can't look past, however, is the one major problem. There's no follow-up. The storyline ends abruptly with no continuation, making all the build-up feel pointless. Sometimes a worse storyline in a WWE 2K game is due to an awful ending and lack of follow-up, and this is a prime example.
Can't watch. What the hell? What just happened? He hit Seth with the stomp. Could this be it? He's done it after a shocking turn of events where former allies turned enemies became allies again. Seth Rollins has been dethroned, and we have a new WWE champion.
And more than a new champion, it looks like we have a new alliance with a new leader.
I think we just saw the birth of a new Monday Night Messiah.
And Seth Rollins can't believe it. He thought he had the match and his WWE Championship secured, but that was not the case. The new champion set out to bury him, and that is exactly what he just did.
This is a WrestleMania moment that will be remembered for a very long time.
WWE 2K23's The Lock story is one of the weaker tales in My Rise history for several reasons. The Lock is such a jerk that he makes WWE look like the good guys. Even when the story tries to paint them as the villains, he's always whining and arguing, which gets old fast. But playing as this guy is just no fun at all. What's worse, WWE 2K23 attempts to replicate 2K19's indie guy gets fired and returns to the indies formula. But it's so much worse and far more boring. Instead of the entertaining Baron Blade, you're stuck with Tavish, whose entire personality revolves around reminding everyone that he's British. We get it, Tavish. You're a knockoff William Regal, but please stop talking about being British. You've mentioned it 50 times already. I'm British and I don't talk about it this much. The part where you travel to the UK is painfully dull. You're thrown into these never-ending British rules matches, more British stuff, yay, that drag on forever. And of course, Tavish won't stop talking about being British again. For the love of God, man, just shut it. And in WWE 2K24's undisputed My Rise, just don't bother picking Lita when you've got to choose between her and Dominic Mysterio. The Dom story is way better and has more meat to the story with some pretty funny moments. Picking Lita is completely dull, because all you do is go to Mexico to have a match against a very large Mexican wrestler, and that's it. On top of that, the Lita path leads you into a broken match with Kane in a casket match. One of the objectives is to hit Kane with the Brass Knuckles payback move, except it doesn't work unless you go outside the ring to do it. A storyline which is not only the more boring path, but a broken one too. A bad combo. And that was our worst storyline in every WWE 2K game. It's now your turn to leave your worst storylines from each WWE 2K game in the comments below. Make sure to check our previous video in the series where we look back at the best unlockable in every WWE 2K game. You should see that pop up now. Before you watch that, make sure you're subbed with notifications turned on and like the video if you did enjoy it. Thanks everyone for watching, see you on the next one.